Hey, sir. Welcome in. Uh, that's the only Swedish I know. I'm sorry. So we'll switch to English if that's fine with you guys. Okay. So good morning and welcome to this presentation on how one of our customers, Georgia Pacific, has been using AI for better pricing management. Right. In the presentation, we've kept a blend of business case as well as a technical, so that it's not extended to one end of the discussion. Yeah. Before that, just a quick raise of hands. Any pricing analyst or pricing specialist in the room? Good. So then, I can take it at a much broader level. Thank you so much. And I think we'll go through the presentation. If there are any specific questions that you may have, then me and my colleague Jimit, we can take that at the later part, if that's okay. Yeah. Thank you. Great. Agenda, we'll go through about who Vistex is as an organization and what we've been doing. Then probably some key terminology specific to pricing and pricing management, pricing guidance. That's the reason why I wanted to know if if there's anybody in pricing, so that I could skip that. Introduction to the company Georgia Pacific and what were the challenges and objectives. And although we've done multiple things for them, in interest of time, we are going to have 2 use cases discussed here. And in the end, what is the solution provided and what were the results that were achieved? Okay. Quickly about Vistex, we are the second largest solution extension partner for SAP. Been in business for almost 25 years. And we have a strategic alliance with SAP. The best part is Vistex solution is embedded in SAP core. So Vistex as a product is sold on SAP paper, and it is premium licensed, approved, and tested by SAP before it's released to production. In terms of deployment, it's available on cloud, on-prem, as per your convenience. And when we say end-to-end revenue management, it includes pricing, rebates, incentive administration, contracts management, and rights and royalties. So basically anything and everything that is involved in your pricing when it comes on the seller side as well as on the buying side. Yeah. Just a quick recap, as I said, so including from contracts to pricing to rebates, trade and channel, rights and royalties, performance management, everything that adds or impacts your financial status as a company. Some customers by industries. So Vistex as a company is focusing on 16 industries, including oil and gas and consumer products, and you can name it. For the sake of clarity here, I've put in 6 segments of that. So discrete, retail, process, wholesale, life science, and consumer goods. And we have a decent representation here in the Nordics as well. Okay, now let's get back to data science at Vistex, which is the core of today's presentation. So at Vistex, what we've done, and we've helped Georgia Pacific, is we've used machine learning to help them to solve the pricing problems or to help them to optimize the prices. And that for we're using transactional data along with operational optimization algorithms like expectation maximization, as well as statistical methods like clustering and logistical regression, right? The basic here is to help the pricing analysts to be much more proactive than reactive in terms of the pricing guidance and how they can manage and help the sales guys to make better pricing decisions. Here you could see the Vistex data science as part of the Google Cloud platform, and you have all the sub flavors within pricing, including pricing guidance, list price optimization, cross and upsell guidance, so on and so forth, that is available. If you could see below the Vistex pricing fabric, it includes promotion execution as well. So all the promotional sub processes are also part of the data science cloud. And this functionality is obviously provided as a microservice, which you can build, test, deploy, and scale up as per your requirements. Now, having said that, just taking a step back to have a quick pricing 101 for the sake of all the audience in the group. Pricing management. So that is a process of integrating all your perspectives and all the information that you need to consistently arrive at the right pricing decision, be it for a product, be it for a salesperson, or be it for different attributes. Price guidance is something which is person specific or customer specific, and there you're trying to determine what would be the best reference price for a customer based on his request. And how do we derive that? We derive that based on data when we look at what has similar customers for similar product categories, what have they be bought or what they have been buying over a period of time. Now, within price guidance, you have a bandwidth, which includes the floor pricing, you have the target pricing, and then the ceiling pricing. So by floor pricing, obviously that is the bare minimum that you want to go without damaging your margins. Target price would be the right or the optimal price, and ceiling price is what max you should ideally offer without expecting the customer to run away. Now, willingness to pay is another interesting concept you probably may be aware, and that is what is the maximum price at or below which the customer is definitely going to buy at least one unit of your product. So the whole base of data science while discussing pricing guidance is how you're going to improve or what is the willing to pay algorithm is going to be. And peer group is obviously similar customers who are purchasing the similar products, right? So based on this premise, let's move on to Georgia Pacific. Maybe a bit more on price guidance is price guidance can be optimized or can be worked on the segment level. So the willingness to pay estimates for each specific micro segment. For Georgia Pacific, for example, they have segmented based on who are my national customers, who are my state-wise customers, and who are my public and private customers, as well as one-off customer that I want to have as a special one as my customer, and I'm willing to pay any price for it, right? So all those updates that are derived on attributes like customer size, transaction size, etc., the willingness to buy in a certain product, all that information is fed into the willingness to pay algorithm. And also if there are alerts for unusual changes in the market. And one such example for alerts is what I'm going to take up as an example. Then we have something called the real-time price guidance, where it is specific to a customer, what is going to be a floor, target, and expert price in response to price request. And that also includes any macroeconomic factors, like, for example, what is the spot market index, what are the costs, what is my competitor offering, so on and so forth. Yeah. So based on that, we move ahead. I hope it's clear so far. Okay. So Georgia Pacific, I could say that the closest example in the Swedish context is like an SCA or an SCT. It's a company which is a combination of both of them, about 190 billion Swedish kroner. It's into tissues, paper, and pulp kind of a sector. And they are divided into multiple divisions. So, for example, they sell to hospitals, they sell to restaurants, they sell to industries, they sell to pharmaceutical companies. So there are multiple attributes or sub-segments that the customer is into. Yeah. They have been using the SAP data maintenance for pricing by Vistex and the paybacks and chargebacks by Vistex, which is on S4 and which is on-prem as of now. And it's been a good customer for us for a long time. And we've also got some quotes and testimonials from them. Yeah. So what was the problem and why did data science come into picture? So earlier, from a pricing perspective, what they had is just a basic homegrown system that they were using for distribution of prices for the materials. Just a basic one, nothing fancy, nothing complicated that they had. And they had an extremely rudimentary approach to their pricing structure, right? What were the challenges for that? Obviously, Excel is Excel, so it cannot give you the flavor of a full-fledged product. So the challenges were they had difficulty in negotiating prices because they did not have visibility of information. Salespeople, being salespeople, typically they want to close all the deals without much oversight, and then they couldn't pick and choose the battles, right? So in sales, you need to know, you need to qualify better whether this customer is going to buy from me or not, and then I put in my sales effort. But that was not the case, and they were like literally chasing all the deals pretty much all the time, right? There was a need for proactive guidance to help accomplish business objectives. So business objectives could be based on regions, since US is a big market. So probably what is my objective at a national level? If I have certain key customers, like an Ericsson, like a Scania, for example, I need one price across all the divisions, and that's my key customer. So I have a different strategy for them. I have a different strategy for a smaller customer, like a Mekanomen or a Gunnebo. I'm just giving random Swedish examples so that you could relate better, right? So how do I align my business objectives with each of these customer segments? And what is going to be the proactive guidance for that? That was lacking for them. Also lacking a finer control on different business segments, right? They acquired a newer company called Dixie, and the products of that product range, Dixie, how can that be integrated with the overall product portfolio that Georgia Pacific had already? So that is the key challenge that they were facing. And also, all kinds of material were in agreement, even though they were hardly bought. So it was a complete chaos. Everything that is there, they want to sell it at, at, at whatever price. So there was no segmentation, there is no lack of clarity, there is no foresight, there was no vision, right? And navigating to a rapidly evolving landscape and proactively changing prices. This was specifically during Corona time, wherein they had jacked up the prices by almost 25 to 30%, right? After that, how do they come back to the normal prices? Or what would be the normal prices? We don't know. It was utter chaos, right? And if you see, these are kind of hygiene products. So there was a huge demand. And they were quite opportunistic. They built up the prices, but then when they had to come down, it was a struggle. Yeah. Now, what we did is typically when you do as a pricing team, the pricing team, Vistex as a tool is basically helping the pricing team to determine what is going to happen when you change the prices, right? If you change the prices, is your revenue going to increase or decrease, right? Is your profit going to increase or decrease? By how much? So what exactly you should do about it? That is the key. So typically you have the pricing team, which makes the pricing impact simulation. Based on that, there is an approval of a particular price, and that price is being fed to the salespeople to go ahead and sell. But before that, there is a crucial step wherein the strategy team comes in and says, look, these are the certain parameters, or these are certain attributes based on which we need to have a pricing decisions. One, what are our executive or top level goals, right? What are the strategy goals for the company? What are the goals maybe at the sub level, specifically for a country like US, for example? I want a more aggressive pricing for my West Coast and my East Coast rather than the the mountainous area, for example. What are the auto insights? For example, similar customers, say, for example, my salespeople in Skane, for example, they are telling me that a particular product is really going well. But at the same time, my salespeople in the Gothenburg region are saying that they are facing a lot of struggle, right? So what are the auto insights over there, right? Plus the market alerts in terms of what is the inflation, is there going to be a recession, what are the larger macroeconomic factors? So based on that, all of them are fed into the parameter impact simulation. Then there are certain simulation scenarios that are run through data science, and there are parameters that are approved. And those parameters approved then become part of the price impact simulation, and then you finally have the prices. Okay. Use case one. Now let's take specific to Georgia Pacific. What was the use case one? Now, there was a single price escalation. The sales executive comes to the pricing analyst and says, hey, this is a particular scenario. I need a deeper discount. Otherwise, we might lose the customer. And he gives a justification. Now, the analyst verifies the justification and tries to come up with the right amount of discount that should be given based on data science. And then the analyst approves the adjustment and gives it to the sales guy. Now, what's that? Consider there's an approval request 799. The sales guy comes and says, look, there is a competitor Q who's opening up a distribution center close to our office or within our region, right? Now, because of that, there is a possibility that our existing customers might move on to that competitor. So I need lower rates. I need 10%. I need 15%, right? Sales guys are nasty, right? Whatever you give them, they're never happy. So they'll say, I need 10%, 12%. I need to retain the customer. Now, what will the pricing analyst do? Now here, the pricing analyst comes and says, okay, what is the product that you're looking for? Okay, the product is ID4, the first product, which is a gasket. Fair enough. What was the previous price? So this is a renewable case. The previous price, the list price was 1,200, but the previous price that we had given was 1,015. Okay. Now, based on that, what do we calculate here? So the pricing analyst then goes into the peer report and sees what justification do I have to give that recommendation, or what am I going to have the right price? So he looks at customer 8668 and looks at, okay, this customer is has been buying similar product from similar sales guys by price and by volume. So based on that, the pricing analyst is much more confident now and much more analytical in his ability to determine the right price. So as you can see, the blue line shows the ceiling price, the green is the target price, and red is the floor price. So these are typical customer data, right? Again, what they do is we have certain peer reports. So for similar customers, similar products, the peer report is collated. Since this is the actual data, it has been masked. So for coming with a particular recommendation, the number of peers are, say, roughly about 120. The number of pricing points are 120, and total revenue is about 17 million, right? And then you come to the segment floor. So for similar customers, what they have done is the floor price or the segment floor price is a percentage of NPI. NPI is your net pricing index, which is the percentage of the list price that you have, right? So in this case, the segment floor is 51% or 0.51, which means that you cannot go below 51% of your list price, right? Then we have segment target for revenue. So we have segment target for revenue is when you want to optimize your revenue, you can have 0.58. When you want to have a segment target contribution, wherein you want to maximize your contribution and not worry about the margin, then the contribution should be 0.60. And segment expert would be 0.65. So based on the peer reports, the system using data science came up with these NPIs for Georgia Pacific. Yeah. So again, these are the, the bubbles show the peer group recommendations where maximum customers have bought when, you have the NPI between 0.5 to 0.6, as you could see. And the units sold is between 100 and 200K. Yeah. So here you can see what the pricing analyst is doing is for account type national. So it's a national customer. The product category is an industrial lubricant for an automotive OEM. The customer size is between 55K to 220K. The product contributor, which means how much the product is being sold, a particular product for Georgia Pacific. So that's 950K to 1800K. And the aggressiveness was earlier non-competitive, which means that you are pricing it in a non-competitive way, you're giving lesser discount. But now, because you have a competitive distribution center coming up, you are overriding that attribute value and changing the competitive scenario from non-competitive to competitive, correct? And then you see what recommendations do I get from the tool. Similarly, my focus now is to retain the customer and not lose him. So I'm ready to forsake my profit, but I want to focus on my revenue. And based on that, I'm going to make the recommendation much more conservative. Right? So after doing the backend algorithm and calculations, the pricing analyst comes up and says, hey, Mr. Salesperson, you now have a 5% discount. What I can see is this is the right optimum price discount that you need to have. And this is not based on my moods or my whims or fancies. This is based on the actual data that we have from salespeople like you, selling products like you, in situations like you, where suddenly they were moving from a non-competitive to a competitive scenario because of some competition coming up. Yeah. So again, then the pricing analyst says, yes, you have a good point regarding the distribution center. I analyzed similar deals, etc. And based on that, I'm approving a 5% deeper discount than before. So happy days for the sales guy. He gets the right amount, and then based on that, he's pricing. So now there is a much more likelihood of him keeping the customer rather than going with a random value of saying, if, okay, let me try with 3%, or let me try with 7%, or let me be over aggressive and let me give 10%. Yeah. There's a second, that was the first case. The second use case is generalization. Now, in generalization, the pricing analyst tries to pick up a pattern and sees how exactly I can have a common learning or common understanding. So as I said in the previous example, that could be, a region in, say, Lin shopping or Yen shopping. And those regions, the sales guys are coming and says, look, I don't know for some reason, but the prices is the revenue has been excessively low, especially in the October to December area. I don't know what could be the reason, or maybe sometime in the scanner region. I think this particular product of tissue paper is sold excessively well. So what could be the reason? Now, in that case, what the analyst does is he observes the change in the market conditions himself, and he plays with the tool. So he does various review options, like, do I override it with another product? Do I do some kind of a sponsorship, or do I do some pricing effectiveness? I'll come to those points. And based on that, the pricing analyst evaluates the impact, and he selects the options. And based on the options that are selected, then they monitors and sees what is going to be the impact going forward. So here, for example, the analyst comes up and says, okay, now this is a city called Shreveport, which is in the state of Louisiana in the United States, right? Now there, I change the attribute value of competitive scenario for Shreveport as a location from non-competitive to competitive. And basically the picture shows how you can do it into the system. Second is, I also change another objective for Shreveport as a branch from profit to revenue. And when I'm changing these attributes for a location, what exactly happens, right? This, I'll not go too deep on this, but these are some of the actual parameters which are used for controlling the on-demand price guidance. So one is maximum price percentage increase that are allowed after recommendation. So it could be not more than 5%. One would be what is the expert factor. So you cannot go more than 5% above the customer specific gross profit margin. And the flow factor, you can't go below 95%. So these are various parameters that are actually used by us for Georgia Pacific while creating the data science algorithm. Yeah. Now, in attribute adjustment, as you could say, for Shreveport as a sales branch, I'm changing the competitor scenario from non-competitive to aggressive, because I want to focus on that city, because there has been a new competitor who has a shop over there. Similarly, what I could also do is I match the attribute of sponsorship, and I tell the system that whatever is the pricing for Dallas, I do that for Shreveport, which means whatever pricing you have applied for Dallas now is applicable for Shreveport, because Dallas has been through a similar competitive scenario and there's been a change of attribute for them. Now here we quickly see the impact of the attribute competitiveness for sales branches, right? So the sales branch would be put under 4 buckets. If your sales branch is in the non-competitive, then you have your NPI of 0.96, which means for a list price of 100, you could sell your product for 96. But now, if you want to move from non-competitive to the other end, which is aggressive, then you're giving a much stronger discount. So in this case, you are selling your product for 86% of your list price, right? So a pricing analyst would know that the competitive situation changes at the branch, and then he can proactively assign that particular branch to a more aggressive branch for equal amount of discounting. Right. Now, taking one step higher, there would be multiple such pricing requests, right? This was one scenario with one pricing analyst. Now, there are different such pricing requests that come up. Then the chief pricing officer or the head of pricing analyst, they calculate all such impacts and see at the macro level what exactly is going to be the organizational level impact, right? So, for example, you have one scenario with share report status change, right? Then you have certain parameters, whether it was predicted in Salesforce, and it comes with a default cost increase, right? So the expected simulation time is about 75 seconds in this case, and then you come up with the results. So here, if you can see here, based on the recommendation, for the price change, you can expect a revenue lift of 3.3%, and you can expect a margin lift of 7.48%. So this is what the data science engine pops up to you, and then you have the information available. Yeah. Similarly, you have all such pricing actions at a higher level. You collate them, you monitor them on a regular basis, right, with the chief pricing officers, and then the completed actions are stored for future reference, and that is also fed as a data for similar actions going forward. So, for example, you have, say, 4 typical pricing actions. One was the share report status change. Then there's a West Coast profit dash. So you are focusing on maximizing your profit from the West Coast. When did it start? It started on the 12th, right? It has been initiated, and the score is to be decided. Now, what this score is actually is a measure of expressing the extent to which the pricing action is meeting your expectations, and it is actually based on what the customer decide. So customer says, okay, for example, I'm expecting 15% or some profit, and then this particular price action, if it meets, then the score is 100%. Yeah. Quickly, so the solution what we got is we utilize historical data and we try to capture the true willingness to pay for every customer, right? And we assumed the negotiated price to be on the level of W2P, and the model incorporates something called as an expectation maximization. For those in data science would know this. And based on that, we are calculating the optimal prices based on whatever are the business objectives, right? I mean, this is technical nature. We can have one-on-one and go through that in detail. But the idea is this is the underlying behind all the decision-making that we're doing. And business benefit, was it worth all the effort? Well, yes. They got a 3% revenue upliftment based on Vistex recommendations. So if you see a 190 billion SEK company, if it's having 3% revenue uplift, that should be good enough in today's times. And also they were like, now they're giving much more appropriate pricing for early bought products as well, rather than just giving random prices. So they're increasing their probability of selling even the low key or the low use products. Yeah. Business use cases were refined. So generally there was a renewal in the prices, especially after the pandemic as well. So they now know what is going to be the right type of prices based on my competitors, based on my location and everywhere. And one more important part was, since everything is being integrated now, all the information is at their fingertips, they could blend in other revenue processes like rebates. So there were some customers who enjoyed both deeper pricing discount as well as large rebates. So now they could say, hey, no more fooling us anymore. So let's take a step back. For example, they thought it's only 10% of those customers, but actually there are twice of that. So 20% of those customers who are having that. So that was in a nutshell what we use data science for helping Georgia Pacific. Yeah. We in fact have a third use case as well, but in interest of time, we stuck to only 2 of them. So we still have a minute. If there are any questions, feel free.
How dynamically do they update the cost side of it? So you talked a lot about the target margin and things like that. So are they dynamically updating their costs? Are they forecasting? What are they using for that cost side of the profitability equation?
So when you say cost on the procurement side?
No, the cost of the product, so they're.
The cost of sales,
Yeah,
you
so
mean?
the cost of their tissue products or what have you, I mean, those
Mhm.
types of mills, you can have some significant fluctuations in their production costs.
Mhm.
So I was just curious, as those come, as those come to product, how are they navigating that?
Yeah, so typically, I think pricing is a very sensitive topic now, especially because of the war and the supply chain challenges. So usually companies have been quite laid back earlier. Yeah, that was my alarm. So they've been laid back and doing the pricing changes almost on a quarterly basis earlier, or sometimes even semi-annually. But now it's much more competitive. They're actually doing it on a monthly basis, and some even fortnightly. And if you have SKUs which are running into thousands, then it becomes difficult to do that much more frequently. And that's where products like ours come into picture, where you can do mass changes quickly.
Thank
Yep. Any other question? And any feedback you found this relevant and interesting?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. We have a booth there. So in case if you want to have a quick chat, we can always have and show you.
We can
By the, yeah.
also share some more experiences from, so this was just Georgia Pacific. There are a lot of projects that we are running on pricing, and a lot of mature pricing customers who are using our solution since 25 years because we are in existence since 25. All these projects where customers are already matured with Vistex, they use the current pricing data, and we use that data to train the models in data science and use machine learning algorithms to optimize that. So there are some customers that are pretty matured. There's some who have started, some who have done the transformation to the S4 projects. So, we have a variety of customers, and we can share the experiences from all of them.
Yeah. And this was example specific to process manufacturing. So we have customers in the distribution and discrete manufacturing as well. So it is across industries. Yeah.
Retail.
Retail as well.
So 16 industry, he said. So, yeah.
But just a quick raise of hand, maybe any, what are the data science initiatives at all? Anything similar to this that are there in your organizations?
Or any pricing initiative, price optimization, price management.
I mean, just a curious thing. We're not going to chase you on that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're having it in your organization.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Is it related to pricing as a process or something else?
We have bought a product.
Uh-huh.
Now we're trying to-
Oh, okay. Good luck with that. Yeah. Okay. Tack så mycket. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
See you at the booth. Yeah.
Thank you.